What's going on, everybody?
Welcome back to our office.
At this point, our office is just a beautiful mountainous location.
We probably could have filmed this video like in our actual office, but
we figured we got an outdoors channel, baby, so
we want to be outside.
I'm gonna be outside. If I can be outside, I will be. But today, we've got another little kind of tutorial style video for you guys. We're gonna be talking about how we plan our backpacking trips. And for those of you that are a little more experienced, how to find epic locations like this one.
Yep, so we're gonna take you through our process on how we plan all of our backpacking trips and all of our adventures that you guys see on our channel. And yeah, break it into phases to make it a little bit more simpler for you guys.
Yeah, so we've got 3 phases, all the way from how you get inspired to packing your bags and getting ready to go. So hopefully this is all the information you need. Usually, we don't plan our videos at all. People
Never.
always ask us, like, how do you guys plan your videos? We don't.
We don't plan anything.
No, but this video, I have a very long Google Docs sheet here of fully plannedness. So the first phase of planning your backpacking trip starts with curiosity and finding inspiration.
So typically when you're thinking about possibly going on a backpacking trip, it's because you've seen something somewhere or someone told you about some place.
Yeah, it's very rare that you just out of the blue decide to go backpacking. Maybe you saw a really cool photo or you watched one of our videos or something inspired you, and I think that's kind of where planning your trip starts. So obviously we're outdoors people, we follow all of these outdoor accounts, all we watch is outdoor videos, and that's usually where the inspiration for our backpacking trips comes from. So social media. Social media is your best friend when it comes to finding cool places that you want to go and getting inspired to go backpacking. So.
Yeah, a lot of the coolest backpacking trips that we've done is because we saw it on Instagram, we saw a YouTube channel or
Grand
YouTube video.
Tetons was from Craig Adams on YouTube.
I saw a really cool picture in Yosemite of someone backpacking. I was like, hey, where's this spot at? So we figured out where that was.
Social media is probably the best way to get inspiration, but another way that I really like to get inspiration and what helps me find locations that maybe people don't know about is Onyx Backcountry, who is actually sponsoring this video. They have probably the best mapping application for the outdoors of like anything we've ever used. It's just fully fledged. It has everything you could ever need.
It's a one-stop shop app.
Yeah, and as far as finding inspiration on that app, they actually have 3D maps that are just so awesome. I'll just hop on the 3D map and I'm just like flying around through space, maybe. I'll just pick an area like Yosemite or Kings Canyon or just somewhere where I might want to go backpacking, and I just start looking around. I zoom in on lakes, I zoom in on peaks, I find what trails are around, and it's just a really good way for me to get inspired because I can find things that maybe other people wouldn't find that aren't like, you know, the Instagram bangers or whatever. Because when we go out, we want to be like away from people most of the time.
Yeah.
So I like to use Onyx to check out locations that are maybe off trail, things like that.
Another feature I like on Onyx is the Discover tab. If you know what zone you want to go into, you can just zoom in, click the Discover tab, and it'll have like a list of trails that are nearby. So if you're not really sure where to go, that could be a good inspiration. Is like, oh, here's this, and it'll have photos of the trail,
like
maybe a description of the trail.
Right. Maybe you want to go to Desolation Wilderness, but you like don't know anything about it at all. You zoom in on Desolation Wilderness, click the tab, and it's got like all these cool trails with photos and information and tells you how many miles and all that stuff. So we really like it, and again, that's how I do a lot of my planning, and a lot of my inspiration just comes from like looking at maps. So phase 2 is the bread and butter. This is where your trip really comes together. You get all of the information and you get prepared to actually start packing your bags. So This is the research and planning phase.
Once you have an idea of kind of where you want to go, you want to figure out exactly what zone it is. Is it a national park? Is it a national forest? Is it a wilderness area? And then once you can kind of pinpoint that, you can go into a little bit more deeper dive of research for that area.
So that's where I'll pick an area. Just for an easy example, let's say Yosemite. Cool. I know I want to go to Yosemite, but where do I want to camp? I have no idea. Well, I'm gonna hop on social media, I'm gonna hop on Onyx Backcountry, and I'm gonna start looking around on that 3D map for the coolest freaking peak with the most epic lake that is not that close to a trail, but pretty close, so that I know I can get there, but probably nobody else is gonna be there.
Yeah, so we gotta find a trail.
You gotta find a trail, and the best way to do that is to just look around on a map. So you know what trail you wanna do, you know where you wanna be, and you have a rough idea of where you wanna camp. Now it's time to start thinking about permits. So most outdoor places, at least that we've ever backpacked, you pretty much always need a permit. Now, I remember when we first started backpacking, the word permit was like scary, and I was, you think like permits, like, oh God, like I need a permit to film a movie, like it's gonna be a huge process. It's really not a process at all. You literally go on the website, you select the trailhead that you wanna enter, and you pay like 20 bucks and you print out a piece of paper.
Now, some areas you don't need a permit, so that's something that will be in the research process is, do you need a permit or not?
Right, and yeah, a lot of that information you can find just by Googling the wilderness area that you're going to and finding either the US Forest Service website or recreation.gov is like probably the most popular website to get permits for outdoor recreation. So those are gonna be your two main resources. Obviously Google, if you just Google backpacking in Yosemite permits, it's gonna be like the first link that comes up. But just plan on needing a permit, and if you don't, consider yourself lucky. That's pretty awesome. So while you're in the process of getting your permit, you'll actually find the rules and regulations for the area as well. A lot of times it's gonna be on the exact same page. Like you click on the trailhead, you're going to buy your permit, and like you scroll down and it's like, these are all the rules for this area. So some things you're gonna wanna know is like, do you need a bear canister? Like we mentioned before, here in Desolation Wilderness, you have to have a bear canister. If you don't, right to jail.
Right to jail.
If you don't have a permit,
right to jail, right away.
No, but you can get fined, you can get tickets if you're not following the rules and regulations. So yeah, you're gonna wanna look up, do you need a bear canister? Are you allowed to have fires?
Yeah, campfire is a big thing.
We pretty much never have fires, but.
Yeah, sometimes you need a campfire permit, especially in California. You definitely need a campfire permit, so.
Even just to have your camp stove, you need a campfire permit.
Yep, so look into that.
What kind of stoves are you allowed to use?
Yep. Bear spray, are there bears in the area? Is bear spray required?
Typically, if you're in grizzly country, you have to have bear spray. I know like in Glacier National Park, gotta have bear spray. Banff in Canada, gotta have bear spray. So otherwise, right to jail. But that's something to know. So yeah.
Another thing is leave no trace principles. Can you bury your poop, or do you have to pack it out?
Yeah, it sounds crazy, but sometimes you have to bring your poop back home with you. So that's something you'll wanna know. It sucks, but those are the rules, and they're in place for a reason. It's, to keep these areas beautiful, like,
and protected.
Just imagine if there was poop all over the place right here. That wouldn't be cool. Yeah. So, yeah, look up the rules and regulations. So now you know where you want to go. You know the rules. You've got your permit. You should probably start looking at trail conditions.
Yeah, this is really important, especially if you've had like a really heavy winter and it's early season backpacking. Like we had a really crazy winter in the Sierras, and a lot of these trails that we're wanting to do aren't even open yet, and it's like
they're still
July.
Buried, covered in snow. Funny story, when we were trying to shoot this video, a lady literally just walked up and was like, I can't find the trail, it's covered in snow. So I pulled out my Onyx Backcountry and I was like, this is where we're at, that's the trail. But it just goes to show you, like, you want to check the conditions, you want to know where you're going. If you're planning your trip for like 6 months in advance, you might want to check what the conditions are typically like, like Yosemite backpacking in November, or like what is the weather in Yosemite in November. So those are some things to look at as you start planning.
A really helpful feature on Onyx is a recent imagery tab. So basically you click this tab on the desktop and it'll show you what the snow conditions are, like what the...
It's like an actual satellite image of the conditions from 2 weeks ago. So it gives you a really good idea of like, is there snow, or like, was there snow 2 weeks ago? If there was a ton of snow 2 weeks ago, you can probably assume there's still snow.
Yeah, literally we've been checking that thing like every week because there's some things we want to do and there's still a lot of snow.
Or like
there.
you can see if the lakes are still frozen, stuff like that. So we love that feature. We've been using it a ton.
Oh, another helpful resource is Instagram. There's a lot of people who have gone to the places that we want to go and they post stories about it or make a post on it, and it'll you'll see the exact conditions of the trail and the location that you want to go. Or you can just DM them and ask them how it was, and we've done that multiple times.
After that, water is very important. You want to research what the water situation is like. Depending on the time of the year, the streams might be dried up. We typically just camp by a lake.
Yeah, we're almost always looking for a lake to camp at with a really cool peak that we can climb to the top of or just look at and take pictures.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously we're shooting videos, so we're always using our maps and trying to find like beautiful locations, but we're also making sure that there's water close by.
Well, it's nice to like have your camp set up and like know your water is just 30-second walk away. Otherwise, if you're not camping close to water, like you might have to hike half a mile to the nearest river.
Or if there's no water, you got to carry all that water.
We're like almost never carrying all of our water.
Water is 8 pounds per gallon. So
no thanks, too
that
much
is
weight.
heavy. Yeah, so just camp by a lake. It's probably the best way. All like the coolest campsites are going to be by lakes.
Plus, you want to go for a swim.
Yeah.
You know, it's just nice to camp by a lake.
And then I guess kind of the last part of research and planning is like parking. You know, here in Tahoe, like we're parked at a trailhead right now, but it is parked out. Like you can't get parking. So if we wanted to backpack out here, we'd be driving around in circles forever trying to find a parking spot.
Yeah.
So the best way to avoid that is just show up to the trailhead early.
Show up early.
But if you're in Yosemite or like somewhere really popular, you know, it can be parked out. So go early, know where you're gonna park. And on that note, make sure, check and see if you need a parking pass. A lot of times when you buy your permit, there will be a separate pass that you print out and you just put it on your dash. But yeah, check the parking regulations, things like that too. Last thing you want is to get a ticket on your car when you come back from backpacking.
Yeah, that would be the worst.
And phase 3, the last phase, which is kind of fun but can be stressful too, is preparing and packing for your backpacking trip. So
it is imperative that you make a gear list.
Ask Victoria how she knows.
Because I have forgotten so many things.
We forget stuff all the time.
I remember we forgot our hiking shoes. We like literally drove 3 hours and like we were 30 minutes away from the trailhead. I was like, shoot.
We don't have our shoes.
We don't have our shoes.
So we hiked in our Nikes.
And it was fine, but it was not the greatest.
So since then, we've been making a specific gear list that we check every single time we go backpacking. So break it down. You've got a category with all of the essential items that you're gonna bring every single time you go on a trip. That way you never forget any of the important stuff. And then have smaller sections for like rain gear.
Oh, there's snow on the trail, bring your micro spikes or trekking poles.
Right. And it sounds crazy, but you will forget something if you don't check a list. So usually we'll have our list handy as we're putting things into our bag. So tent goes in, check next to the tent. Pillow goes in, check next to the pillow. That way we never forget anything, and then you'll still forget something. So imagine if you didn't have the list. You would just forget your whole life.
Another thing you want to look into when you are preparing to go on your adventure is the weather conditions. Pretty much when we know exactly where we want to go and when we're wanting to go, we're checking the weather like every week, every day.
Even if our trip is like 2 months away, I'm still checking the weather because like, I'll be like, oh shoot, it's raining next week. She's like, we're not going for 2 months. I'm like, yeah, but still it's raining.
Yeah, so it's just nice to know like what's going on out there. I mean, obviously you're in the mountains, so the weather changes a lot.
Well, that's why you want to check.
Which is why you want to check a lot, all the time.
Yeah, leading up, like the week before your trip, you want to be checking like every single day, especially the day before your trip, because you might check on Friday and it's like, oh, sunny all week. And then you check again on Wednesday and it's like, oh shoot, the storm's rolling in. So just knowing, especially if you're in the mountains, weather can change like that. So be prepared, keep checking the weather. Fortunately, Onyx Backcountry also has weather.
Yeah, it's super nice. It's like everything you could ever need in that app is like...
They have all the public weather stations. You literally just click on one and it's like, gives you the weather like with pinpoint accuracy, which is really nice. So next, most important thing of backpacking by far, food.
Food. if you're gonna be out there for 3 nights, make sure you have enough food for 4 days.
Yeah. I always tell Victoria, like, we carry a lot of food, but I always tell her, like, I do not want to be hungry when I'm out there.
No.
I don't want to be rationing, like, oh, I get 3 peanuts today. Like, no. I want to be able to have, like, 8 handfuls of peanuts and some M&Ms and a banana and some beef jerky. Because, like, you're out, man. You just hiked like 10 miles.
Yeah.
You got some calories, you know. So.
The worst thing is like being at camp, hanging out, having a good time, and then like just starving.
You're like rationing your food. You like can't have a snack or whatever.
So bring enough food for your adventure when you go out.
After that, there's not a whole lot more that you need to do. We would recommend trying to know exactly where you want to pitch your tent. That's just gonna make your life easier once you get out there. You know, we did the Crystal Range Traverse, there was tons of snow, and we're just like walking in freaking circles looking for somewhere to pitch our tent. So if you can have an idea of exactly where you're gonna pitch your tent, it's nice that you can just drop a waypoint on Onyx and you know right where you're going. So that just makes life so much easier. Another thing is share your plans with somebody.
Yes.
Most importantly, tell somebody when to expect you. So I always will text my mom or my aunt or one of my friends and I'll say, look, if I don't text you by Sunday, something is wrong. So obviously give yourself some extra time. If your trip ends on Saturday, don't say I'll text you on Saturday because you might not. You might get stuck out there, it might rain or something. So give yourself another day. You know, say if I don't text you by Sunday, you know, send help. But you definitely want to tell somebody, especially if you're solo backpacking. Fortunately, we always have each other, but you just never know, man. You break your leg 6 miles deep, whoo, it's gonna be a long time if you're waiting for somebody to figure out that you're missing.
Yeah, you don't want that.
If you told somebody, hey, look, on Sunday I'm missing, you're more likely to get rescued pretty quickly.
Yeah,
So
share your itinerary.
yeah, after that, just get ready for your adventure, baby. There's not much else to do.
Camping's easy.
Yeah, I have on my list here, it's just camping. It's not that serious.
It's not that serious.
It's really not. I mean, as long as you're prepared, you have your gear, I mean, you're gonna be fine, especially when the weather's beautiful like this. I'd recommend, like, don't do your first backpacking trip in the snow.
Yeah.
But, like, you're gonna be outside, weather's gonna be warm, it's gonna be nice, you're gonna have water.
You're hanging out, jumping in the lake, you'll be fine.
So, that's how we plan our trips. I think the biggest takeaway for those of you guys who are experienced in backpacking, those 3D maps. I tell you, it's the best way.
It is nice.
To just find cool spots that other people aren't finding. You know, everybody else is just Googling best backpacking trail in Yosemite. And, like, guaranteed those are the trails where everybody's gonna be. So take some time, zoom around on a map, have some fun, look at the lakes and stuff, and you'll find some pretty sweet spots. So
yeah.
Or just ask us. We'll tell you where our spots are most of the time.
Yeah.
But with that, yeah, planning a backpacking trip is pretty easy. I know a lot of people have been asking us for this video, so that's pretty much all there is to it.
Yeah, so thank you Onyx Backcountry for sponsoring this video. We've been using their app for a little bit now and we love it.
It's the only app we use now.
And they're just super supportive of us, which makes us stoked to make these videos, so yeah, thank you.
So, and thank you guys for watching. If you want some inspiration for your backpacking trips, maybe subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out, doesn't cost you anything, and we make backpacking videos and climbing videos, and most of our videos are a lot cooler than this one, so
yeah, that's true.
I hope you'll check it out. But yeah, we'll be getting out on another big adventure sometime soon. So
yep.
Peace out, y'all.
Bye, everyone.
I'll tell you what, I ain't planning no more videos. I like to just wing it.
I just want to go hike that mountain up there. Actually climb it.
Aren't we gonna do a climb over there somewhere?
I think so.
Don't spoil it.
Yeah, this is like a little teaser. It's like, ooh.
We're gonna climb that mountain back there, y'all. We're gonna climb it.